It's 12:36. You are listening to the mid-morning talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda, and this is our community focus. Today, we are talking about the state of the modest fashion industry post COVID-19 in South Africa. Modest fashion arose out of a need for inclusion, while the styles typically range from higher necklines and longer hemlines. The modest fashion industry challenges us to rethink the way we view clothes. It's no doubt that major retail outlets are playing one of the most prominent roles. With the rise of influencers, modest fashion has definitely grown, and one such brand is La Udher. No excuse. It has launched a beautiful boutique showcasing exquisite modest dresses, scarves, and so much more in Lenasia, Joburg South. And to tell us more is La Udher's marketing and advertising specialist, Salma Wahab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salma, shukran for joining me.
Walaikum salam, Maryam. Thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah. Now, Allah Udhur did not start at this past weekend's launch, but way back then. Give us some background information about when the brand started, how it started, and why.
I think it's very appropriate to mention is like you just mentioned now, it came as a need, there was a desire, and there's of course the most biggest demand for items that Muslim women want to wear or they are comfortable with because at a time it's now become very common. Like you mentioned, in all the brands in every store you will find ranges that are now longer limbs and wider pants and not as fitted as before. We have a much wider option and selection of clothing that's available to us. But still, we still love the abaya. There's nothing that beats a classic abaya, be it black, be it
Mhm.
anything else. And that's how the brand originated, with bringing in the most unusual types of designs and catering for a very niche clientele base in Lenasia and surrounding, from her home, from her garage. Very simple, very humble, one rail of beautiful black abayas. It wasn't even called lauda at the time. It was called distinctive damsels. And it just catered for that niche market. And she brought these really exclusive, luxurious pieces. But from there, of course, the demand grew and it went from more and more to now scarves. And then she started her own production. So the items are produced here. And if you see now, you'd never say that it started out of a little garage and one rack of abayas. It's now the most widest selection of black abayas with all sorts of embellishments and the most exquisite fabrics from across the world. The fabrics are internationally sourced, but there's also the colored daily wear range. Most of it has that jalabia style inspired
Mhm.
by the Emirates or the women you see in Saudi, that kind of feel and vibe to cater to for that, for the women in South Africa, to bring that sort of style here. So that's been their journey more or less. And at the moment, they're probably the most exclusive store that really takes you back to the most posh malls of the Emirates and the Saudi stores. It really gives you that feel, and you can vouch for it as well.
Definitely. I mean, I was there at the launch this past weekend, and the theme, Golden Emirates, that was the order of the day, and the beautiful pieces that were on show. What did opening a boutique in Lenasia mean for the owner, Zainab?
I think it's been an amazing turnaround, especially in this past 2 years, because in 2019, pre-COVID, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's so apt to talk about it post-COVID now, because in 2019, pre-COVID, we opened a store, a really, really small store in Indonesia, very small, probably smaller than the average or about the size of the average bathroom. And it was really tiny, but we were so proud of it. We had a launch and it was really exciting, really exquisite. But at the same time, she knew it had to grow. It had to be more. It was far too small, but she wanted it out in the public space. She wanted shoppers to see it, the public to see it. She wanted to showcase it, and she wanted to take it to the public, put it onto the street in the more public sphere, and not just the customers that were used to the brand. She wanted to take it out there. And then COVID happened straight after that. And it was a struggle for a lot of businesses because now all of a sudden people weren't shopping as much. Now online
Mm-hmm.
shopping was big. They had to get their website now revamped so that people could shop online. But at the same time, she never stopped production. She kept it going. She kept doing her photo shoots. she kept trying as hard as she could to push out whatever collections she had. And sometimes the collections that were still out in 2019, throughout the course of the past 2 years, she was still selling some of those items. The scarves were still going. Items are very slow moving because, like I said, people weren't going for Eid, for functions anymore. They weren't get-togethers, and that was the real struggle that the fashion industry faced because people weren't buying that many outfits now because they weren't getting together as much. I think it
Mm.
was only from last year where people now really started shopping again. And of course, this year where the hype really began. So as soon as she saw this opportunity late last year at the Platinum Square in Lenasia, that's when she grabbed the opportunity with both hands. She had saved and she knew she could manage it, and she did it with all her heart and might because now she wanted, since the whole world is traveling again and coming out of the shell, she said, no, this is going to be an opportunity for her to really put Lauda on the map. And she opened 2022. Now that everyone's traveling and shopping again and life seems a little bit more normal. Now to
Mm-hmm.
have this boutique, I think it could not have come at the more appropriate time.
Mm-hmm. MashaAllah. Now, how do brands like La Udher influence and encourage modest dressing?
Well, I think, and it's great that you asked that question because just this weekend we had a conversation about a woman who exited Islam purely based on after she visited the Laudar stand at a Eid shopping festival recently.
Mm-hmm.
And she took the Shahada, and the first thing she asked for was a Laudar abaya. She ordered an abaya, so on the day she became Muslim, that was what she wore, and she sent the pictures. And her story is amazing, and we're going to be sharing the story soon with the public and with followers. But that it's something exactly like that. It's not about following trends or, okay, this is what's happening in New York or this is what's happening in Paris. Let's create the same thing and bring it to the Muslim community or the modest dresser. It shouldn't be like that. I believe every woman can create their own trend, can feel fashionable in their own right, can do what suits them, what suits their body type, and can be very modest at the same time. We, as the modest fashion industry, and it is an industry, people cannot underestimate it enough. But people that wear the abaya or dress modestly, they themselves need to dress the way they feel comfortable dressing. There is no standard that is being set. There is no bar that is being set or pressure being put on you to dress a particular way. And I think that is what the message Lauda sends in the loudest is all her abayas are loose-fitted, are modest, are free flow, and are not attracting attention where it shouldn't be attracting attention. It's not leaving the option open for you to be immodest in any way. It's the women come in there, they're able to freely select a garment that they feel happy selecting and feel comfortable wearing. And I think that's what it speaks in volume. So people know when the woman is wearing a lauder piece, they know it because it looks a particular way. And it makes that sort of statement that this is who we are and we're not following any trends. We are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are setting the trends to an extent.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'd like us to go back a little. Earlier on, you mentioned that when she started from her garage, the name wasn't even called La Udher. So, where did La Udher come from?
Sorry, Maryam, I'm just going to ask you to just repeat that question for me.
All right. Before it was called La Udher, it had a different name. So, where did the name La Udher come from? I mean, it means no excuse. So, where did no excuse come from?
The no excuse, I think, meant exactly that from what I answered previously was that
Mm-hmm.
the women have no excuse not to adorn it because it suits every type of woman. It suits every body type. It suits every characteristic or every nature that you have, every style that you have. If it's whimsical, a lot of the pieces have frills. A lot of pieces are absolutely plain, completely plain, Nida fabric, Italian silk, all those things. They have florals that are in it now. They have beaded, there's sequins. So there's literally no excuse for you not to wear it. And I think that was the inspiration behind it. There's something to suit every preference. There's something that suits everyone. The women that wear niqab, there's even something for them. They've come up now with a niqab range, which includes a half niqab and a scarf over. in the different colors. They've now got the colorful range for people that don't want so much black now. There's now introduced a colorful range. Then they've got the daily wear, which is like your dresses, colors and some belts. And they've got that you can add on to your abayas as well. They sell the accessories separately. So I think that kind of thing appeals to different types of women, and you've got to do that when you're a business. So now Udher's inspiration was that there is no excuse. Here's everything to suit you. You want color, here's color. You want loose, here's loose. You want something a little bit more fitted, something a little bit more fitted. Fitted sleeves, whatever the case may be, La Udher now caters for that. So that is basically what it is.
And how are the designs and fabrics selected for each piece?
Again, the design and production is locally by this mother and her daughters and this amazing team of women. But a lot of it also is custom designed where, for instance, just this weekend after the launch, there were customers that came in that said they wanted a particular abaya, but maybe in a different color. One lady wanted the sleeves not as wide, maybe a little bit more refined, a little bit more structured or tailored in. So Zainab, the owner of the store, is able to do that for you. She basically makes all the abayas based on the demands and requirements they are. So she doesn't have several of the same items made. She's able to customize them in a different way, or if like an element from another incorporated into that one is made locally. But the fabrics, however, are imported. They are French chiffons, and she's got these different types of silk, and of course your sheen leather. They're very luxurious fabrics, and you'll know that if you've seen any La Udher garment. The studs as well are very wide. And the way they're made is they've got tassels and they've got beading. The La Udher logo or emblem is absolutely gorgeous, and people look for that on their abayas. They actually requested having it on their abayas as well because she's got the branding done to the T. So you want to show it off when you're wearing your La Udher piece.
All right. That's I saw it and it was beautiful. I'm like, oh wow, this is on another level. Definitely a level that most women want to be on because you want to feel beautiful, you want to feel unique, you want to feel out there, you want to stand out. So why not with La Udher? Because there's absolutely no excuse. Now, is there room for more modest fashion brands in South Africa as the market continues to grow?
Oh, 100%, 100%. It is now, we are so spoiled, we are so lucky that we have so many. Just this weekend, I attended another event here in Durban, and it was so amazing to see numbers and numbers of stores that now have not only abayas, but like the tops are long lengths. And it's so easy for us to shop these days. There's so many variety and just different people's tastes. Like what I liked and was appealing to me, not necessarily appealing to the person sitting next to me, but she found something that she liked. And that is never, you can never have enough. But you can never have enough in that way. You must go shop for everything. But you can never have enough brands or options to offer the public because every woman has her own preference, has her own taste. Even the South fire you the open was so amazing, but the way you wore it with the scarf over your head and that is how you love to dress, and that is what you are comfortable wearing. And it's certain fashion, the woman next to you really completely different. That's why each brand, if you have a vision, if you're somebody that wants to keep, especially now as we are approaching Eid, and you want to introduce something that you perhaps something internationally or abroad has inspired you, or maybe just something that you personally like to wear. It doesn't necessarily need to be an abaya, but something modest or something you feel that Muslim women would want to wear for Eid, or even in general, may just feel comfortable wearing it, and it can appeal to the tent market, and you end up putting it out there in the market. You never know. You may get approached by people saying they'd like to wear your garments to an event, or you may get people saying, can you stock your brand in our stores? That's exactly how it happens. Exactly how it happens. Nowadays, you're also very lucky to have pop-ups almost every second weekend throughout the country, events and pop-up shops. So there's so many options and ways now, thankfully, alhamdulillah, for the small businesses to rise again.
Hmm. What do you think about brands such as Dolce and Gabbana taking advantage of the modest fashion range? And uh, there are different views. Some people are for it, and some people are against it. And what are your thoughts regarding that?
No, I don't see why people would be against it. I really cannot possibly understand, because I think it's amazing that brands around the world are taking note of the influence of modern fashion, and are taking heed, or paying attention to the requests of people, the requests of the public. I mean, even on red carpet events now, Hollywood events, and all those kinds of things. See a lot of people, sometimes people covering up. They don't want to be modern dressing, while some prefer that. Others need both. Others want to cover up. Others want to continue wear the longer sleeves and the higher necklines and so forth. So I think that's where brands are catching up on as well. That sometimes it's not just about one community and isolating that one community and saying, here, we catering for the women. It's not just about that. It's about a growing rise of modern dressing that people wanting to do. If you look at Dubai, you look at Abu Dhabi, people are wearing kaftans, Muslim, not they with robes, and they want to go. They go to the Bahamas, they're going Maldives. They are
Mm,
covering up. They are wanting those throwovers. So I think that's where brands are paying more attention now to women that are not necessarily dressing so skimpily or scantily anymore. They are wanting to cover, and they're getting good feedback for that. Brands like Dolce and Gabbana, and even others, there's several others now that are, when it comes to this time of the year, you are going to see it, who are going to start
mhm,
launching different ranges ahead of Eid, because they know that's where a lot of money is as well. If you look at the Emirates, you look at Qatar, you look at Kuwait, there is big fashion influence and huge money being invested into the fashion industries there. And just recently, they had the fashion exhibition in the Emirates, and it was incredible the way the women were dressed, and they are in plain and simple black abayas. They're not dressed in beads and Swarovski crystals, but the amount of wealth that is in the industry, I think that's what brands are noticing. So you cannot underestimate the buying power of the
mhm.
modern fashion shoppers.
Hmm. And I'm glad that we are improving, or rather, the modest fashion is improving, because like about 10, 15 years ago, it was difficult for us to walk into a store and pick up something without having to worry if it's going to cover properly. But now you can walk into almost any store and you'll find a nice long modest dress. You'll find a scarf. There are lots of scarves on sale. Even in our famous retail stores, you can walk in and find a beautiful scarf. And modest dresses, you see them here, they're almost everywhere. So Alhamdulillah, it's a good thing that the modest fashion is becoming more inclusive, and it's becoming a bigger than what it was before. I just hope the Europes and the UKs and all the other countries who are banning hijab can see that, while you're, even though you're trying to do something like banning the hijab, it is still growing. The fashion industry is taking
It's
advantage
growing
of
in
it, and
spite of
it's
that.
growing.
It absolutely can. France can do what it wants as far as setting hijab, even in India, to show that amount of hate towards the hijab. But the more it happens, the more it grows. You will
Mm,
see how the fashion industry is going, how modest fashion influencers are being invited to events. You look at Rhodes, that was on, I think, one of the Vogue covers, or she was featured in Vogue, and she's such an influence. She's the Vogue, I think, fashion editor in Sweden or Switzerland. I'm not quite sure, but she's completely covered, and she's on every fashion spread. She's flying around the world. So I think the more you get, I think that's why hate is growing so much of people that are against it, because they cannot handle the growth of the industry. It's just growing so much, and it's becoming such a big money maker at the moment. And I don't think people should hate on it. Even people that are modest dressers say this is just now a money making thing. It's supposed to be a hijab. Yes, it is. But in
mm,
the day and age that we live in now, people are also looking at it from a business perspective. A typical example, Udher, she's a woman who's running her own business. She's got two daughters. She now wants to leave this business to one as well, inshallah. And she now relies on trends. She relies on And she relies on networking to get her business out there. And there's so many other female-run businesses now that are catering for this market. And it very much means a lot to them if they see a hijabi on a cover of a magazine. It impacts on the fashion industry immediately. When you see hijabi models in Tokyo and others who take off the hijab, that's having an adverse effect because then you completely contradict everything
Mm.
over the years. But I think it makes a huge impact that over the years now how the industry has grown, and at the same time the hate that it's facing as well. But we will come out strong.
Mm-hmm. All right, now I'm sure there are many young women who have been inspired by Sister Zainab's perseverance and go-getter spirit. What advice can you give to them?
I would say to if you have it's a lot of people are myself included inspired by the way she started. If you want to start something, start it now. There's somebody I'm not even going to say her name, but she's based in Dublin and she's a successful business. She's very popular. She's very well known in the beauty industry, but she saw a few dresses she thought would be popular, and she started selling them. And it costs you nothing. It literally okay, well, it may cost you a small investment, but she was able to invest in a few dresses, and she sells them so affordably. And she just put them on, take pictures, no fancy photo shoots. She just put it on a mannequin. She took pictures and selling them. She sold out. She now getting now for Eid. No fancy branding. She hasn't done pop-ups or anything like that, but simple and affordability. That's what people want. That's what women want. They want something convenient. They want something easy to wear. And I think if you're somebody, a business that's growing or you're aspiring to get into that sort of line of work, I think just don't hesitate. Just do something now because we have reached a point now in this country where you're going to have to, you cannot become reliant on other people. You can't become desperate for jobs. If you are, you're going to have to start making it for yourself. I've learned that lesson myself this year as well, that nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to push you. You're going to have to get up and do it for yourself because it's survival of the fittest now. Everywhere around the world, you either have this extremely good education, even those that are highly educated are sometimes sitting at home without work.
Hmm.
So it's now an ideal time that if you have the smallest business idea, it's worth a chance. And it's somebody, there's even a saying, people say, somebody is waiting to invest millions in your idea that you're sitting with. So don't take a chance. Don't sit quiet about it. Get people's opinions, get people's advice. You use your phone and just spread the word, whatever it is that you want to do. And ask for help. It's okay to speak and get people's opinions and spread the word. Again, don't underestimate the power of social media, of your phone, and of just starting a small business. It can work. Even if it doesn't necessarily boom right from the start, people, again, because of COVID, people are all struggling. So everybody's
Hmm.
trying different avenues now to succeed.
All right, Salma, shukran so much for your time and for chatting to us today. Where can people find La Udher?
Oh, if people are wanting to visit the store, they're more than welcome to come to Indonesia. It's in Tortilla Avenue, I think extension 8. Indonesia's got all these extensions. It's at the upper level in Indonesia. But if you want to, you just search laudher.com, Laudher, or you can just search Laudher on Instagram as well. You'll get all the details from there, the website, Instagram, or just pop into our store in Indonesia.
All right, shukran once again and have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Walaikum salam. You as well. Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Ramadan Mubarak to you too. That was Salma Kazi, the advertising and marketing specialist for La Udhar, No Excuse, the modest fashion brand that was. Well, they started a long time ago, but they launched a new shop in Lenasia at number 2 Protea Avenue, Platinum Square. You can go and check it out. We have come to the end of our broadcast for today, and it has been a very eventful day, Alhamdulillah. If you've missed out on anything, you can find it on Facebook. And also, don't forget to follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and share your comments, questions, queries, or suggestions. And also share our interviews, share them with your friends and families, share them far and wide. And we would love to hear from you. Do join me again tomorrow from 11 to 1 right here on Salam Media. From myself, Maryam Mkwanda, and the team, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.